Hola, I'm here in New York and I'm doing an exhibition called Divine Energy. And I have a very big surprise for you. I have a friend of mine, Sylvia, that we know each other for 7 years. Yes. Sylvia introduced me to the Akashic Records. And that's why today I have the honor to have her with me. So, Sylvia, I'm so happy to be with you.
Thank you so much, Daphne. The Akashic Records, it's a field of energy that exists in another dimension. It's far beyond this third dimensional experience. It's been set up as a reference library, as a resource for us, for those of us who are having experiences on the earth, lifetimes, because from my perspective in the Akashic Records, we all have many lifetimes. There's a book of life for each one of us. And it contains every action, thought, deed, intention, everything that we've thought about doing in the future and possible futures, because our future is not set, we're creating it.
That's very important. Yes. We're creators of our life.
Yes, and the spirit in which we create is so important. The thoughts that we use to create our reality and the words are so important. That's why I love your artwork, because it shows the divine energy.
I do it. I enjoy very much when I'm painting.
I can tell. So the Akashic Records are really a resource, as I said. And there are techniques or modalities, such as the one that I learned, to connect with the Akashic Records and the Akashic Record keepers, who are beings who are, they're energy beings. They don't have bodies, but they hold our records. So the modality that I learned from Maureen St. Germain, who is internationally known as being someone who speaks about using the Akashic Records and teaches that, using the Akashic Records for personal development and evolution. So I learned and practiced it, and then became certified in 2013. And I've done about 3,000.
Imagine. I know. She's a woman of a lot of experience. I know that.
Yes. So I had the good fortune to connect with you and to be the one who we would say checks in with your Akashic Records and your Akashic Record keepers to provide their perspective.
But perhaps it would be interesting for you to tell the people, what do you get when you do a reading?
What you're doing is you're speaking to beings who are very wise, loving, and supportive. They want to help us, and they want to give us and share their perspective by giving us the information, the insights that they feel are most helpful for us in our soul's journey, in helping us to create what we do want, the most beneficial, benevolent, love-infused life that we can create. What's important is that the Akashic Records were one of the main reasons that people come to me and ask me to connect with them, is to remove blockages and interferences, things that come, whether they come from this lifetime, early childhood, sometimes there's some trauma involved in the birth process that is still having an effect. There are things that we inherit from our ancestral lineages. What's important is that just to recognize that we have influences that have come to us, sometimes through inheritance, through our DNA. Traumatic experiences imprint on the DNA and can be passed down through the generations. And then if you think about it, you have a maternal lineage, you have a paternal lineage, and the record keepers will also look at your spiritual lineage or the tradition or heritage that you grew up with. And blockages can come from the past, and it's what would be important is just to recognize that the roots of some of the things that are troubling us, whether it's this timeline, whether or not you believe in past experiences, what I find is that the record keepers like to meet people where they are.
I think that having a lecture, a reading with the Akashic Records will make you a lot of good for you to understand it, a wider view of what's going on and of your life and of your challenges.
Well, there are things that we have as beliefs, or they're recurring patterns, or things that we do in this life that sometimes we'll actually sabotage ourselves, or we'll have a belief that I'm not worthy. And the I'm not worthy can take several forms. And one of the forms, since we're here working with your art and divine energy, and you being a channel for it in your art, one of the negative aspects of that I'm not worthy will often be I'm not worthy of connecting with the divine. I'm a miserable, lowly sinner, or whatever the belief system has been.
Yes.
And then, so there's such a treasury of love, of creativity that you tap into with your art. There's such a treasure that's available for us. It can be things that are part of our inheritance, but they come from our souls, and our souls are eternal and infinite, and our souls want to help us.
Having a reading with the record keepers is an energy work, I would say. We are energy. And many people say, but how come you're doing a session and Sylvia is in the States and you're in Chile? How come? How can that be possible?
Well, there really isn't any time and space difference when you go to higher dimensions than our third dimensional world. And that's where the Akashic Records are. They're at a dimension where they're not can't be influenced or corrupted by external forces. So as far as energy goes, I think that frequency is so important.
That's very important.
Energy. What is the frequency of the energy? Because your art has a frequency. My voice has a frequency. And music has frequencies, and they all affect our cells. They affect the water in our body, our emotions, our state of what we believe and what we say about ourselves.
So that's very interesting. Frequency, vibrations, energy, and why is it so important to be in the high vibrations?
That's the transformational aspect of the readings that I do, because sometimes it's knowing the information, just knowing that there is divine energy for me. There is divine assistance for me if I choose it. And knowing that we have the power to create our level of consciousness. And what we're creating our lives, the events that happen to a large extent. Usually the record keepers will talk about that we have a plan, an overall soul's plan and purpose, but we are free will beings, and they respect, and the universe respects our free will choices. And if we choose to believe, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I can't succeed.
Most of the time those beliefs come from the programming we have had since we were very young.
Yes, and we have so much more potential, and sometimes our potential is not awakened by, or it's not reinforced in our childhood.
So I would say that one of the benefits of contacting the record keepers is to develop our potential.
Usually what happens is that the record keepers will talk about what your soul's purpose is and things that might be getting in the way. If your soul's purpose is to be a wisdom keeper or a truth seeker or an explorer or a liberator. These are some of the labels that the record keepers will give. They will relate it to what's going on in the current experience that they're having. And it often is so uncanny. What the record keepers will say, for example, is if you, in terms of following your heart, the record keepers would explain that that's important to you and talk about time, whether it's the ancestors or this life, where you have suppressed your heart. And it could even be manifesting physically, in physical symptoms. If whoever I'm reading for, if they resonate with that, and just look at it, not so much as a religious belief, but more of what I believe is that we're all children of God, and we have the divine right to connect with our Creator.
Sylvia, I've sent you a lot of people that perhaps they have illness, they have different problems. What other kind of information do the record keepers help?
Well, one of the most striking ones, and this has to do with not necessarily a visible illness. I did a reading for a woman who was of Asian ancestry. So she was very much open to reincarnation. One of the things that came up was that she had had experiences where she was in a multi-wife situation, like a harem or ones that are polygamous societies. And she had a lot of trauma from that because she couldn't produce a male heir. There was a lot of trauma and a feeling of failure in that lifetime. And so I gave her the information. Also, I work with music and sound energies, and provided the energies to shift the feelings of guilt and shame and failure and remorse that she was feeling about herself, her purpose in life. I got an email from her a couple of days later, and she said, I had actually been planning to commit suicide because I felt that my life was really nothing, even though that she hadn't accomplished, that she believed that she was supposed to build an inheritance, and that she felt like she was a failure, even though she was married. The shadow from that life was just so pervasive. So she said she had even thought of ways, I feel very emotional about this, but she had even thought of ways how she could kill herself. And that she now realized that she was judging herself based on something from the past. And she was able to accept the frequencies, the divine energy of forgiveness and grace and mercy, which is there for all of us.
So, Sylvia has different tools you use in your readings. I don't know if you want to give us an example. Or
I would love to share that because that's one of the things that's unique about how I do this. So thank you very much, Sylvia. A big hug.